today we're going to talk about timeouts, the secret to timeouts, what you are doing wrong, and how to fix it. As a parent, there are times that your child makes a choice that might not be the best choice, and so your first reaction is to send them to timeout, that they have some sort of punishment that will happen for their negative choice that they made. Now, a lot of parents, they are making some mistakes as they're doing this, and it's not because that they are terrible parents, it's just because they are not sure what to do. I want to share with you 3 things that parents are doing that make timeouts ineffective, and then I will share with you 3 ways that you can make your timeouts be more effective and create a more loving environment with your family. The first thing that parents are doing wrong is that when their child makes a mistake, when they have a misbehavior that happens, the parent tends to react in the moment. They are very upset usually when you get sent to timeout, and so they are very rash. They will be upset. There might be some yelling involved. I have heard plenty of parents, and I've even been guilty of this myself, of just being so upset about whatever just happened that they just keep hitting or biting or throwing their toys or yelling or screaming, and so then your emotions build up and you just explode and you're just like, ah! Go to timeout now, or go to your bed, or whatever, wherever your timeout location is. I've seen it, but those emotions just build up and it doesn't work. When you are acting in those emotions, you are protruding anger to your child and they can feel that. The second thing that parents are doing wrong with timeouts is that they're putting their child into timeout for too long. Some parents will put their child in there for however long it is. If they keep getting up, they'll add on a minute, or they'll add on a couple minutes. If the child keeps sassing and back talking, they'll just keep adding on minutes. But does this really seem to solve the problem, adding on all these minutes because the child's not doing what you want them to do? It doesn't seem to be solving this problem because the child just keeps doing it. And actually, your stubborn or strong-willed children, they actually see timeout as a challenge. And so if you see this happening a lot, that your child, that this timeout is not working, you might want to sit back and reevaluate what you're doing. Are they sitting there for too long? Is this an unreasonable amount of time? The last thing that I see a lot of parents doing is that, what is your child really learning from this timeout? Is it really going to correct the misbehavior? Is it really solving anything? Is your child actually understanding what is going on, the process throughout this, and what they're supposed to be learning from it? In reality, instead of being a learning process, most of the time timeouts are just a time for parents and children to get more frustrated and upset about the situation instead of solving the problem. So those are 3 common mistakes that I see happening and that I've even done myself at times. Don't worry, things can be fixed. We're all on a learning process. So 3 things that you can do to fix those and make timeouts be more effective. The first thing is to stop thinking of timeout as a negative thing. It doesn't need to be this punishment for misbehavior. Misbehavior is never just a child's problem. It's also a parent's problem as well. The child might be doing something wrong, but the parent might be doing something wrong as well to cause the misbehavior. The first thing that you need to do to make these timeouts be more effective is to stop thinking of them as a negative thing. Instead, think of timeouts as a time to calm down, gather emotions, process through your thoughts and feelings, and tell your child that I know that from my own experience with my little toddler and also with my preschoolers in the past, instead of saying, go to timeout, you've made a bad choice, when they would be yelling or screaming or throwing things, I would always say, or I say now, I can see that you are upset and you need a minute to calm down. And we'd always have a designated spot, whether at home it's my son's bed, that he goes sits on his bed and he has a couple minutes to calm down. I just say, Spencer, you need to go sit down on your bed and calm down. You need to go in there and you need to to calm down, and when you are ready to talk to me and not yell, you may come out. And I do the same thing with my preschoolers, is that I let them determine the amount of time that they are calming down, gathering their thoughts, and processing through their emotions. Instead of being in that heat of the moment anger, making things worse, it allows you and your child a moment to gather together, to calm down, so that you can think of a more positive way to handle things. And then also, when you do it this way, you are showing that your child that you love them, because you are not getting upset. It allows you that time to walk away if you need to, because that happens of times that you have to walk away yourself and gather your own thoughts and emotions. So that is just a lot more of a loving approach to it. The second thing that you need to remember is that you need to invite the child into the process. They have made a mistake, they've had a misbehavior that has happened, and so you need to help them as a parent to walk through and figure out what went wrong and how to solve it. Instead of being a one-way thing where it's just the parent telling the child, you did this wrong and this is how you're going to fix it, invite your child into the process. Sit down, talk with them, try to figure out what made them cause that misbehavior in the first place. Were they tired, or were they hungry, or are they needing some more attention from you? Whenever a child doesn't have their attention bucket filled up from you for the day, they will cause them to misbehave. And the same thing, they also have a power bucket, and their power bucket is where they need to be having independence and autonomy and control over their own world. So if that power bucket isn't getting filled up each day, they're also going to lead to misbehaviors, which could lead to the eventual timeouts. Sit down with your child, figure out what is going on that caused this problem, talk with them, figure out, you know what, do you need a snack? Do you need to go and lay down for 15 minutes? Should we go outside and play a game together? What would you like to do? And that way, as you are talking through this misbehavior and working through the problem, you are giving them power, so then they realize that they have a choice on how they behave, and they have a choice of how to fix it. Sometimes they just need help and guidance as they're going through that process. So then the third thing that parents need to remember is that timeouts or a moment to calm down might not necessarily always be the best solution for the problem. Sometimes, especially with really young children, if you just do a simple redirection, it helps. I know that with my own 2-year-old, when he is throwing his toys or hitting other people, if I just step in, and I don't even have to say anything, you can just step in and say, oh look, here's this toy. You don't have to address that negative behavior. Just ignore the negative behavior, redirect them to something else, and it will solve the problem a lot of the time. With your older kids, redirection might not always work, and so in that case, you could give them a list of alternatives of what they can be doing instead of the negative behavior. Do you need to, like I said before, go eat a snack? Do you need a moment to go read a book? Do you need some attention from me? The key though is just make sure that you are filling your child's attention bucket and their power bucket. So now that we've talked about the problems that I see a lot of the time and how we're going to fix it, I just want you to read this quote from Jane Nelson that I really like. She says, "Where did we ever get the crazy idea that in order to make children do better, we have to make them feel worse?" And I completely agree. A lot of the time, timeouts are happening in the heat of the moment. Instead, let's take a moment to calm down, redirect, figure out what the real problem is, and work through it together, and remain loving and open throughout the entire process.